4 episodes, 4 real production skills: bidirectional WebSockets, Twilio Mu-law bridges, LangGraph state machines, Redis checkpointers. If you have followed along, you have now the custom stack voice agent knowledge that most freelancers don't have. And yet, in the last 3 months, I have lost at least 10 Upwork evaluations where the client specifically asked for Retell AI experience, not LangGraph, not 11 Labs. Retell. So in this episode, we built the same thing I have been building, a lead qualification voice agent, but in Retell AI. No bidirectional WebSocket management, no state machine code, no Redis. Just Retell dashboard, a 5-line fast API webhook, and a test call. I'm not saying Retell is better. I am saying you need to know both. Episode 7 is the comparison. This episode is the Retell side. Let me explain why I'm covering a platform after 4 episodes of custom code. Here is the honest reason. The custom stack, 11 Labs, Twilio, LangGraph, Redis, gives you full architectural control. You own the state machine, the IO pipeline, and the latency budget. That is the right choice for enterprise clients. Bespoke voice experiences, and any situation where compliance requires you to own the data layer. But the majority of Upwork voice AI jobs are not enterprise. They are SMB clients who want an AI receptionist, a lead qualification bot, or a cold calling system. They do not care how to barge in state rollbacks works. They care whether it works, how fast they can have it, and how much it costs to maintain. Retell is designed for exactly that market, and the clients hiring on Upwork is that space asked for Retell by name. If your portfolio does not show Retell experience, you are screened out before the technical question. So the argument for learning Retell is not philosophical, it's commercial. Both skills together unlock a significantly larger job pool than either skill alone. Before we build anything, let me place Retell in the borderland space. The voice agent platform space runs from the no-code tools at one end to raw API assembly at the other. Make.com, Zapier are at the no-code end. You can wire up a call flow with them, but the moment you need dynamic data or complex branching, you hit their ceiling fast. At the other end, you have what we built in episodes 1 through 4. Raw WebSocket management, custom TTS streaming, LangGraph state machines, maximum control, maximum complexity. Retell sits in the middle of that spectrum, but closer to the production ready than most platforms. It uses DeepGram for STT and supports multiple TTS providers, including 11 Labs. The latency is managed for you. The state persistence is managed for you. What you get to control is the conversation flow through a visual node editor and data layer through webhook integrations. WAPI is the most direct competitor to Retell. Similar positioning, similar capabilities. I am covering Retell in this episode because it appears in more Upwork job descriptions. WAPI is worth a separate video if the demand signals appear. The key to understanding Retell is the nodes paradigm. Let me show you how it works. If you have worked with LangGraph, the nodes paradigm will feel familiar. If you have not, think of it as a flowchart where each box is a moment in the conversation. A node in Retell has 3 parts. First, a prompt, the LLM instruction for what the agent should say and do in this state. Second, a set of variables to extract from the user's speech. Things like budget, timeline, location. Third, transitions. Conditions that determine which node to go to next based on what the user said or what variables were extracted. The conversation starts at the greeting node. The agent speaks the greeting prompt. The user responds. Retell extracts any variables the greeting node is configured to capture. If a transition condition is met, for example, the user says bye, the conversation moves to the next node. Compare this to the LangGraph. In episode 4, we built a type dictionary state object, a supervision node that classifies intent and routes to the subagents, and a Redis checkpointer that saves state after every transition. Retell does the equivalent of all that, but in a dashboard UI without a single line of state management code. What you give up is access to the state layer. You cannot inspect or modify the Retell state from outside the platform. You cannot implement a custom barge in rollback. You cannot cache against a Redis store. Retell manages all of that internally. For most SMB use cases, that is an acceptable trade-off. Let me open the Retell dashboard and build this agent from scratch. I am in the Retell dashboard. I have created a new agent and I'm in the nodes editor. Here we are. The first thing I do is configure the greeting node. This is the entry point of every call. The agent enters this node the moment the caller connects. In the prompt field, I write, "You are a friendly real estate lead qualification assistant. Greet the caller warmly, introduce yourself as Alex, and ask whether they are looking to buy or sell a property." That is the entire LLM instruction for this node. No system prompt boilerplate, no output format instructions. Retell handles the TTS formatting. It knows the response should be spoken or displayed. Now I add a variable. I click add variable, name it intent, type is string, and write the extraction instructions. Buy or sell or other, based on the caller says. Retell will extract this variable from every user term while it's in this node. Let me switch back to the Visual Studio. This is the JSON representation of the Alex Real Estate Lead Qualifier. We have the hook, we have the welcome message, you are a friendly real estate lead qualifier assistant, get the color and variables, whether the color wants buy or sell. Then the transitions, condition, intent is not empty, then qualifications. 3 fields. 1 no, the agent can now greet a caller, understand their intent, and move to the next step. Now let me add the qualification questions and branching logic. The qualification node is where the real decision happens. The agent asks about 3 variables: budget, timeline, and location. In the prompt I write, ask the caller about their budget range, their ideal timeline for buying, and the area they are looking in. Be conversational. Ask 1 question at a time. I add 3 variables: budget as string, timeline as string, and location as string. Retell will update these variables as the caller speaks across multiple terms. I don't need to manage which term extracted which variable. The platform accumulates the values. Now I add the 2 transitions. The first is if budget is present and timeline is present and location is present. In other words, all 3 variables are filled. Go to the qualified node. The second, if the caller says they are not interested or signals they want to end the call, go to the not qualified node. Notice what I am not writing. I am not writing an intent classifier. I am not writing a routing function. I am not managing partial slot filling. Retell's extraction pipeline handles all of it. The condition is just a variable check. The qualified node has 1 job. Tell the caller we are connecting them with an agent. Trigger the webhook to log the lead and end the call. The not qualified node thanks the caller and ends the call. If we check the JSON representation of qualification, look at the conversation. The prompt asks for budget, timeline, and location. The transition will be budget is not empty and timeline is not empty. Location, everything is filled. And caller disengages. It says, perfect. Let me connect you with one of our agents. That's all. The webhook triggers where your backend connects. Let me show you the code. Here it is. Retell calls your backend through custom functions. At any point in the conversation, a node can trigger a function call. Retell pauses the call, sends an HTTP post to your endpoint, waits for the response, and continues the conversation with whatever you return. The payload Retell sends includes the call ID, the full set of extracted variables, and the turn history. From your endpoint, you can write a database, trigger a CRM webhook, send a Slack message, anything. Here is the webhook handler. It is a fast API endpoint, 20 lines. I extracted the call ID and the variables from the request body. I call a store lead function that writes to the SQLi. I return a JSON response with a response key. That text becomes what the agent says next. In this case, let me connect with one of our agents. 2 things to know about the custom functions. First, Retell verifies the webhook with a shared secret always validated before processing the payload. I have a placeholder for that here. Second, your endpoint must respond under 10 seconds. If it does not, Retell continues to call without your response. Design accordingly. That is the entire custom code in this episode. 1 endpoint, 20 lines. Retell platform handles everything else. So now this webhook handler PY makes sense. Let me run a test call and see the whole system work. Retell has a built-in phone simulator in the dashboard. I do not need a real phone number for this test. If I click the test call, run this test, the agent starts speaking immediately, like this. I type my responses in the simulator, or I can speak if my phone is configured. Watch the variable panel on the right as I answer the qualification question. After I say around 4,000 budget variable updates. After within 3 months, timeline updates. After Austin, Texas, location updates. Retell is doing the extraction in the real time across multiple turns. I type nothing, I configure nothing. When all 3 variables are filled, the branching condition fires. Agent says, perfect, let me connect with your of agents. And in the terminal running my fast API server, if you go back to here, and run the terminal here, we will see the webhook post arrive with the full call variables. Let me run it. Here's the honest trade-off table. Retell wins on time to market. First call was 25 minutes. LangGraph equivalent took 4 episodes. For an SMB client with a simple use case and no engaging engineering team, Retell is almost always the right recommendation. Retell wins on maintainability for non-technical terms. The nodes editor is auditable by a business analyst. A LangGraph code base is not. The custom stack wins on state control. If you need a custom margin rollback, semantic caching, or speculative TTS, you need the custom stack. Retell does not give you access to those layers. The custom stack wins on cost at scale. Retell charges a platform fee on top of an API cost. At low call volumes, the simplicity premium is worth it. At enterprise scale, the math changes. Episode 7 has actual numbers. The custom stack wins on compliance-sensitive deployments. If your client needs to own the call data, the state store, and the audio pipeline, you need the custom stack. Retell is a managed service. The data lives on their infrastructure. Use this table when a client asks which architecture to use. The answer is almost never philosophical. It comes from their call volume, their technical team, their compliance requirements, and how fast they need to be live. 4 things to take from this episode. Retell is directed graph, not a chatbot. Nodes model conversation state explicitly. Variables are extracted automatically. Conditional edges replace routing code. If you understand LangGraph, you understand Retell. You just do not write implementation. Custom functions are integration surface. 5 lines of REST API replace hundreds lines of agent tool plumbing. The constraint is the 10-second timeout. Design your backend with that in mind. The platform fee is the real trade-off, not the complexity. Retell abstracts latency, STT, TTS, and state management. The price is cost per call, not a ceiling on customization. Calculate break even before recommending it. And finally, knowing both architectures is the senior skill. A Retell-only engineer loses enterprise jobs. A custom stack-only engineer loses SMB jobs. Episode 6 extends the Retell agent with a real fast API backend and go high-level webhook. The stack agencies use for production voice AI work. The code is in the voice agent architect lab, repo on GitHub, and the link is below. So if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. See you in episode 6.